Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. What I'd like to do today is to talk about chronographs from very affordable to the most aspirational. So we'll get started with the most affordable. Uh, the movement is the heart of a chronograph. It's the heart of just about any mechanical watch. And this one really, it looks like it started one place, but it's really another. The the movement is called an ST 1901 Seagull, and it's made at the Tianjin Watch Factory in China. It's a Chinese one. But it started, really, it was a chronograph called the Venus 175 by Fabrique des Ébauches Venus in Moutier, Switzerland. All right. For some reason, I'm not sure why, but they did way back when. Venus sold both the Tianjin watch factory in China as well as Poljot watchmakers in Russia. And so Poljots and both the Seagulls have similar movements, but they all go back to the Venus 175. The original Venus 175 had a 45-hour reserve and it ran at 2.5 hertz, which is 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. The watches today, here are a couple of examples of chronographs with the ST190, the ST191 in it, or the Seagull movement. And the one is by Perpetual Chronograph, and this is by 380 bucks. Perpetual is the name of the company. It's called Perpetual Watches, and they're located in Hong Kong. And the thing I like about Perpetual, I have one of their watches, and the guy who runs it is very much of a perfectionist. He won't let anything out of his shop that he doesn't approve of. I've had one of their watches, a regulator, for years now. It's never broken. I don't wear it that much, to be truthful, but that thing keeps working. It's got a lot of nice little features to it, and the price you can't beat. Another one, this one I found at the Long Island Watch Store. It's called the Hemel, Hemel, Air Wing Mechanical Chronograph. And this was $4.99. One thing I found out when I was looking at the chronographs, especially the lower priced ones, so many of them were quartz. They're solar, they run on a solar, and so these are the ones that I could find that were mechanical and affordable, very affordable, I might add. The next ones I looked at were based on a Lamania 1873, and it's 3 hertz, 40-hour reserve, and again it has the pushers at 2 and 4 o'clock. This is my only chronograph. This is a Beauvais monoraptor pump. And it's got the little up at 2 o'clock, and then down here at 4 o'clock, it has pushers, one for starting, one for stopping. Pretty much a chronograph. This is the only chronograph I have. I'm not much into chronographs, little different kind of watches for me, but still they're fascinating kinds of watches. Now, the Caliber Omega 3861 is based on the Lamania 1873. It's hand wound, 50-hour reserve, 3 hertz at 21,600 semi-oscillations per hour. That's small seconds, hours, minutes, and then the chronometer. And if you look at these two, the Tag Heuer Carrera and the Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch, they both have essentially the same movement in it, and that's on the base of the Lamania 1873. Now the Tag Heuer's is $3,900, which is a lot more than the ones with the Siegel movements, but still not crazy expensive. The Omega Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch is a little more at $7,000. This next one goes sort of from another place, I suppose. This is the Harboring 2 Chronofelix. Harboring 2, the main brains in terms of horology behind these is Richard Harbring. Harbring, he used to work with IWC before he started his own business, and it's located in Austria, and he's probably won more Grand Prix awards than just about anyone else for this type of watch. His watches tend to be hand wound. I think he does have some automatic, but most are hand wound, very simple, but with a core movement. The movement he has is called the A11. Then there are different versions of that. The A11, A is for Austria, 11 is for 2011 when he first came out with it. Now this one is based on a Valjoux. It's a Valjoux 7733, which was a hand wound. The 7750 is the automatic movement, and that's the ETA now, since ETA owns them. And the 7750 is probably the most common higher range, or I should say mid-range movement. Now, what Richard Harbring has done, he's taken that. In fact, I suppose goes back again to Venus. He's got a Venus 188, which was the base for the 7733, both of which were hand wound. And this is also hand wound, manual wound, 4 hertz, 48 hours reserve. This particular one is 7900s. Where did I find called Horology by the Sea? They're the West Coast ones who handle Harboring 2. Now, this next one is the Zenith EP Original, EP for El Primero. This is a story about El Primero, and they were in a race with there's a sort of a consortium. They were both trying to win the race to make an automatic chronograph. And El Primero had one out first, and so they call themselves El Primero to remind everyone that they were the first. Now, the interesting thing about Zenith is this is the latest version of it, is that it runs at a very fast, at 36,000 semi-oscillations per hour, which is 5 hertz. And what they say they see the advantage in this higher hertz rate is that you can get measurements of 1/10 of a second. And so if you're timing things where 1/10 of a second, either means win or losing a race or anything else, that becomes fairly important. And this is the original one, and they have different versions of it, and now they have things. The latest version is even fast. I don't know if they have a faster one, but it includes a lot of other elements that they've improved on this one. But I like the original if you're gonna have one like that. Now, leaving what I'll call the mid-range and getting into the really upper range. This is a Longa und Sunda datograph up down. I believe I think it was either this one or one of the other Longa watches that Philippe Dufour had said he thought it was the finest watch outside of for what it is. I think it was for the chronograph. It was either the datograph or it was another one. But this is like a really nice watch. Unfortunately, for people like me, they costed a whole lot of money. They have the price is, contact for what it is. Oh my God, when they say that, it's usually pretty high. The caliber is called the L951.6. It's manually wound, which I really like. 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour, which I really like. I mean, this is a wonderful chronograph. And like I said, I'm not into it because there's too much information for me on there. But it's a beautiful watch, and one of the very much an aspirational chronograph. Now the final one, if I had a choice of any chronograph, this would be the one I'd get. The two companies are involved here. One is a company called Agonor, and Agonor made this incredible movement called the Chronograph, and it was a hand wound movement, and it was based on the genius of Jean-Marc Viderec. And it was totally different. It was just a different sort of approach to chronographs, and it was the first one since they started making chronographs, really, because it seemed like all of the other ones grew out of Venus. It came out of that somehow. This came from a different place, and you look at it and says, well, I don't, where's the chronograph stuff? Here you got a pusher at 2 and 10 o'clock, and then the crown down at 4 o'clock. So you say, how does this work? It's really ingenious. When the chronograph begins, you've got two center, I'll call them stick hands, one red and one white. The red one is for seconds and the white one's for minutes. So you start the old chronograph off, and the second hand goes around and per second, and then the white minute hand follows that, and then the hour hand follows that. So it's a very intuitive thing. Now, when it's not running the chronograph, it just goes back to regular seconds on that. And then you use the main minute hand. But this, for a chronograph, now this one costs 45,000 Swiss francs, which is probably close to $50,000. But anyway, these are sort of a range, and if you're interested in a chronograph, my suggestion, start with one of the Siegel ones. It's one get one by Perpetual Chronographs, or Perpetual Watches, their chronograph. The reason for it is you may not like it. I mean, some people say, oh, wow, this is so cool, I'd really like to have one, and they end up never using it. And it's sort of that, and I got to say, this happened to me. I love this, but I just don't use it, except this strange monoretropont that it has. Anyway, I would like to hear what you think about this. If you have a chronograph or a special type you like, I'm sure that some part of the history I may have left out, but I just wanted to have sort of a review from the affordable to the aspirational. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Standard for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.